The Yorkshire Coastcast with Paddy. Loving life in Yorkshire. The people, the places.
Hello and welcome to episode 44.
This is the Coast.
Coming up, I attend the United Scarborough Residents Action Group meeting where representatives from North Yorkshire Council and the Scarborough Neighbourhood Board talk about how to spend £20 million. Yeah, we're going to hear from all the key people who were at the meeting, presenting 11 different projects under the Pride in Place programme and asking local residents what are priorities for them. And don't worry, there's still lots of opportunity for you to have your say too. Now, as always, thank you for downloading and listening to the Yorkshire Coastcast podcast. From the team at This Is The Coast, the local commercial radio station for the Yorkshire Coast, you'll find this podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and always at thisisthecoast.co.uk/podcasts. And don't forget to listen to the main station too. We're on DAB, online, on smart speaker, on the app, and also Roku TV too. Right, before we hear from the key people who were at the meeting last night, let's find out a bit more about the government's Pride in Place programme. Here's Scarborough Whitby MP Alison Hume.
No one understands Scarborough better than Scarboroughians, which is why, with the 5-week consultation being launched on the town's Pride in Place initiative, I'm urging all of you to take part and provide your feedback on the 11 local projects which have been identified by Scarborough's Neighbourhood Board. Pride in Place, one of the Labour government's flagship programmes, will see up to £20 million pumped into the town over the course of the next decade. Crucially, because it's different to previous schemes which were too narrowly focused and had a top-down style, Pride in Place is all about giving people the power to make decisions which influence our local communities. They know best. You know best. This is your chance to help shape Scarborough's future.
Alison Hume, Scarborough Whitby MP there, talking about the Pride in Place programme. So what are these 11 projects? Well, the first is Old Town Regeneration, giving residents a voice. This regeneration project aims to bring together residents, businesses and local organisations to help shape the future of Scarborough's Old Town. The second one is the Square One development and supporting the transformation of the former Brunswick Centre into Square One, a leisure-led destination with a multi-screen cinema, restaurants and social spaces linked to the station gateway upgrades for better access and a vibrant town centre. The third project, Sprucing Up Scarborough, it's based directly on what residents and businesses have told them through consultations, the need to address empty and run-down buildings, deteriorating shop fronts and the general decline in the public realm. Project 4, We Are Scarborough, the volunteering hub, creating a single volunteering hub to make it easier for people to get involved and give their time. Project 5, the Scarborough Fair, a year-round programme of festivals and events including Scarborough Streets, Scarborough Fringe, Scarborough Extreme and Scarborough Lights, designed to bring life to the town centre and celebrate local culture. There's also Turning Tides. It's a support programme for young people aged 15 to 21 in Scarborough. It focuses on building confidence, resilience and emotional well-being through trusted one-to-one support. The next one is Dads Behaving Madly. This project will see Scarborough's first dedicated men's wellbeing hub. It'll be a welcoming place for dads, male carers and people caring for both children and older relatives to meet, learn new skills and support each other. Also in this list, Scarborough Youth Network. This project will create a network of youth-designed spaces across Scarborough for young people aged 11 to 18. These will be safe, welcoming places where young people can relax, socialise and access support. The Stephen Joseph Theatre. This project will upgrade key parts of the theatre that are now outdated and failing. The air handling units and flat roof installed in 1996 will be replaced to make the building watertight and more energy efficient. Scarborough Water Sports and Sea Centre. Now, this project will create a new coastal hub on Scarborough South Bay, designed to help people connect with the sea, improve health and well-being and bring new life to a key waterfront site. And the final one is Scarborough Community Grant Fund. Now, this is a small resident-led funding programme to support local projects that make a real difference in Scarborough's neighbourhoods. It'll provide simple, flexible grants to help people turn local ideas into action. So, you share your views on the 11 project ideas. North Yorkshire Council assess the feasibility, costs and deliverability of each project, and the Scarborough Neighbourhood Board considers which projects progress to delivery within the investment period. And you continue to have further opportunities to comment on proposals and the programme, and project updates will be shared as the programme develops. So that's kind of what it's all about. Probably the best place to start is the Scarborough Neighbourhood Board Chair. This is Heath Samples. I spoke to him midway through last night's meeting when everyone was on a bit of a break to do some voting with these little plastic chips on which projects they thought were most important to them. Now, Heath got on board the neighbourhood board back in September, and this is the reason why.
Instead of starting to complain about Scarborough, because one of the issues I was having is I was going on social media an awful lot, looking at a lot of the groups that were more sort of negative than positive, and felt like, do you know what, I'm going to fall in a trap here if I'm not careful. I'm going to start getting negative like everybody else, like a lot of people are. So I thought, you know what, let's do something about it. You know, I love this town. I've been in this town for the last sort of 57 years. I've had boats in the harbour since I was 16. I've had shops and businesses up and down the high street. And I just thought, no, you know what, we've got an opportunity here with this £20 million Pride in Place that the government have given us. Let's spend it wisely. Let's get some positivity back into this town, and let's all take a part of making it great again.
And there is always a concern, isn't there, that money might end up being wasted, and people talk about previous projects. So you are here to make sure that where the money goes is where the community wants the money to go.
Exactly, Paddy, and that's the key thing. You know, a lot of people have said to me, oh, is this just a substitution for North Yorkshire Council not having to spend it, so you're going to spend this money on things the council should spend it on? Absolutely not. And the more you understand the project of Pride in Place, the more you realise that actually this is a unique opportunity and unique money to be spent on things that our Scarborough residents want, our community want, and things that will make our town better, our seafronts better, our facilities better for everybody in the town. Not for tourism necessarily, but for everybody else in the town that lives here.
And one thing I've picked up on is that you're very keen to make sure that the money isn't spent on stuff that North Yorkshire Council should be spending the money on. So that's going to be quite hard to do, though, isn't it? That you know, to find those different projects and make sure that everyone else is doing what they're meant to be doing anyway.
It is, and you know, as I said, the more you look into the actual project itself, the more you realise there's a real clear distinction. It's almost like San Andreas Fault, you know, California one side, Nevada on the other. You can see that, you know, the council have got their spending and their commitments on one side, and the Pride in Place programme has got their opportunities and spending for the residents on the other. So actually it's quite clear cut, and what we're doing now is going through the process of approaching all the groups in Scarborough that have engaged with us over the last 2 years and saying, look, you know, we're narrowing down these projects that you told us were important to you. We're going to be starting to, you know, move money into these themes. Can you just sanitise them, double check there's still a priority for yourselves, and then that money will then get allocated toward that. So you know, if any North Yorkshire councillors or Scarborough councillors are listening, I'm sorry to really disappoint you, but we aren't here to fulfil your budgets. This is money for the Scarborough residents.
And finally, events like this, organised by United Scarborough Residents Action Group, you are getting people to look at some of the projects and the plans and vote for what they think is important.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's what this is, the first of the group since you know, the press release went out today that I know you guys have run, thank you, and that's all about telling people what we're doing, the next stages of what we're doing. And we started with United Scarborough Residents tonight, and Michelle and the other folks that are involved, and we'll be moving on to the Castle Wards Tenants Association and their Scarborough Town Centre groups, and just basically feeding back to everybody, as we said we would at the beginning when the boards were set up, to say, look guys, this is where we're getting to, and it really works, because, you know, they've dragged an awful lot of people out tonight. It's freezing cold outside. I was quite happily tucked up on the settee with Daisy, my Labrador, and you know, a lot of people have come out. It's important to them, and as I said, Paddy, you know, we've got a real opportunity here to get some positivity behind Scarborough again and spend the money on what we all think it should be spent on.
And that was Heath Samples, who is the chair of the new Scarborough Neighbourhood Board.
The Yorkshire Coastcast. Loving life in Yorkshire.
Well, there were representatives from Scarborough Town Council there last night, including the Mayor, Councillor Thomas Murray. The organiser of the event was Michelle Richardson from the United Scarborough Residents Action Group. I asked her how she thought the night had gone.
Very well. The numbers were increased from the last time. The councillor participation was greater than last time and greater than we expected, considering the weather. The subjects went down very well, and we are hoping that these events on a monthly are going to be a grower for the community to get involved and engage back to local organised, local representatives, elected representatives, so that they can move forward with the things that we want to prioritise.
And it's funny, isn't it? Certain things came up, like that kind of conflict between tourism and residents, which is a big one, isn't it? Ideally, the two go hand in hand, but actually, it is very important, isn't it, that residents feel that the local community or the organisations are working for them?
Exactly that. The last decade, possibly 2 decades, have been most of the grant funding that have come through has been focused on tourist-led projects. And what the residents are now saying is enough of that. We want something that benefits us primarily first, and then tourism as a secondary to that would be a bonus. But we must put our own needs at the top of the list now.
And toilets came up.
Oh.
Always do, of course, but it was interesting when you said that was 75% of the response you got from your post on social media. It's a massive issue, isn't it, for people?
It is. We ran a poll on the group to see what were the priority issues coming directly from residents, and the loos were a huge part of that. Obviously, we've lost so many over the last 2 decades. And we need to start thinking about replacing those. It's not down to businesses to have to provide for non-customers. So the only places in town are like Marks and Spencer's and the library. You shouldn't have to then be a customer of that business to want to spend a penny in this town.
Yeah. And you'll be doing more of these events, won't you?
Oh, definitely, yeah. The whole point is that we are opening the door for communication directly to the councillors, and that they can get to listen to what the residents have to say. Most residents go to work Monday to Friday and not available for the council meetings that our committee attends. And obviously we try to feed back on that front, but we'd like to be able to respond, and we can only do that if the residents actually engage.
Yeah, and what's good about a venue like this, the YMCA Theatre, is that everyone's sitting together, the councillors and the public, whereas obviously in the town hall it's a little bit more formal and a little bit harder for people to get their point across.
We don't want people to be shy, and we create a casual environment where polite questions can be asked of the councillors. We do make note that they are attending of their own choice and their own volition. That's great. It also proves to us which councillors want to directly engage with the residents, and that will show itself at the ballot box on the next turn round.
And actually, what that might also do is for those that don't turn up, it might make them think, well, I need to be doing this a little bit more. So, it can have that.
There's a little bit of shaming factor in those that don't attend, but we have had, I would say we've had a better response. Apologies even for those that didn't attend this evening. For this meeting. So the engagement, even if it's in a negative and they can't come, at least there is some response, which means we're not being ignored anymore.
Yeah. And you are clearly a brilliant bridge between the community and the councillors, so well done on that. What is it that drives you? What is it that makes you do what you do in that respect?
I was born in this town. I was born at Scarborough General Hospital. I went to school here. I've spent all my life here, most of my working life here. I have travelled. I have worked in different places. I've come back and I'm bringing back what I've learnt from the other places. And I've also seen the deterioration, and it saddens me. And I'm a proactive person. I'm not one to sit on the sidelines and just moan about things. I needed to get out there and make something happen. And we're all capable of that if we get involved.
And that was organiser of the event at the YMCA in Scarborough, Michelle Richardson from the United Scarborough Residents Action Group.
The Yorkshire Coastcast, loving life in Yorkshire. The people, the places. This is the coast.
Coming up, we'll hear from Janet Jefferson and Michelle Donoghue-Moncrief. They are North Yorkshire councillors. We'll get their thoughts on the meeting and a few updates on things like the West Pier development as well in Scarborough, which you might find of interest. We'll also hear from Simon Bull from Scarborough Business Ambassadors. They say things are really going to start happening very, very soon. Firstly, though, let's hear from Councillor Rich Moore. He is both a Scarborough Town Councillor and North Yorkshire Councillor. And I asked him about his thoughts on the meeting and this 20 million quid and how it's going to be spent and how the community is going to have its say on where the money is spent, but also some interesting stuff on something that he's rather passionate about, and that is Scarborough celebrating its 400th anniversary this year as being a seaside resort. thought.
What did you make of the meeting tonight?
I think the £20 million that we're looking at, that represents a real opportunity for Scarborough, and I think it's to people like this community group and other community associations and groups across town to feed into it, and when they're consulted, they'll have a look at what's available, and that's where the focus has to be.
Yeah, and do you think that, it seems like the community's now getting a proper say. Are you confident that it'll all turn into that final product that a lot of people think hasn't been there in recent years?
I think there's potential with it being 20 million over 10 years. It doesn't go as far as what you might think, and I think we have to manage expectations. But at the same time, there are some really good ideas coming forward, and if we pursue those, if we can get money into those, and I think as Heath, what he said tonight was, it's 20 million, but if you can get a 10 or 20% discount on those things, you soon up to 22, 24 million. So it should be looked at in some ways as part seed funding. So it's 20 million, but yeah, that could easily turn into 40. And then we can really see things happening in Scarborough with that kind of money.
I've got to ask as well, we're now into 2026, aren't we? The 400 year. That's a big thing for you, isn't it? The 400th anniversary of Scarborough as a seaside resort. So, all systems go on that?
Yeah, January the 1st, 2026. I've been looking forward to this for about 3 years. It's been difficult in some ways to get officer support and to get council support, but we're starting to get there. We're getting things over the line. Really looking forward to the middle of the year. I think the core events programme will probably be mid-July, and at that point we should have the unveiling of rather a new feature at the spa there, and I'm hoping that the town will be very well. I'm hoping they'll be delighted with it.
Yeah. And is the plan to put it where that gravel is now, where those steps go down, or will it have to be somewhere else?
No, that would be the plan. So as you're approaching the spa, if you're coming along the walkway there, you'll see the spa roundabout. And just beyond that, there's this rectangle at the moment. It looks like nothing, but if you were to dig away under there, you'll see the stairways going down into the spa pump room. Well, this sculpture of sorts, whichever one is ultimately going to be placed on there, that will be where that is sited. You'll be able to see that from across the bay. So if you're looking across the bay from South Bay, you'll be able to see this feature. It'll attract people along to the spa wondering what it is, and it'll be this fantastic new feature to celebrate Scarborough's 400th anniversary as a tourist town, not as a spa town.
Councillor Rich Moore there.
The Yorkshire Coastcast, loving life in Yorkshire. The people, the places. This is the coast.
And we are doing a special episode on the United Scarborough Residents Action Group meeting at the YMCA in Scarborough. County councillors, also Scarborough Town councillors and the Scarborough Neighbourhood Board in attendance, and just anyone could rock up and listen to presentations and also have their say on where this 20 million quid is going to be spent on these 11 different projects. What are the priorities for local residents? Shortly we will hear from Janet Jefferson and Michelle Donoghue Moncrief. Some interesting news on the West Pier development coming up as well, by the way. But first, let's hear from Simon Bull. He's the chair of Scarborough Business Ambassadors and local businessman.
What did you make of the meeting tonight?
It's absolutely brilliant to see so many people braving the really, really cold weather we've had this evening to get out in the numbers they have today to listen to what the neighbourhood board has to say and provide some feedback. We really need forums like this over the next 2, 3, 4, 10 years to get the feedback initially sort of broadly, and then as we get into it more, we need more on the individual projects as they come up to get real investment from the local people so that when the projects get delivered, they are bought into, and then we can make sure that it's what the town wants and needs.
Yeah. Do you think that is going to be successful? Obviously, events like this help, but ultimately, can you see everything working out the way you hope it does?
Oh, like everything works out all the time perfectly. But yeah, of course. No, there's always going to be bumps in the road. There's been significant bumps in the road in the past, and they are definitely smoothing out. There's a really clear progress ahead. There's a real clear vision. There's the tide is turning on things. We've got much more positivity. We're getting much better engagement with the council, with residents, with groups like this, and the whole thing is beginning to pull together. I think once we get into this a bit more, people will begin to see that there is a plan. There is some funding. We're not going to be able to do everything, and we're certainly not going to be able to do it now, but things will start to happen soon. I really believe that.
Because there's a lot of very passionate people in this town, isn't there? A lot of people that love this place and want the best for this place. So there's the passion there, isn't there? It's just bringing everyone together and all the resources together to actually make things happen, because a lot of people in this town will see projects that have been put out there. This is the next big thing, and then you never hear of it again.
For those kind of things, for projects like this, can be really damaging. It's in some ways it's fortuitous that this project has changed its name, it's changed its whole makeup and setup. So it's almost like having a clean sheet in some ways. And that has provided a massive opportunity to reset the dial. And it's turned everything into a much more positive conversation. The conversations we're having with people are more positive. The engagement is more positive. The numbers of people that we're able to communicate with and work with are much more engaging and generally better for the process. So it's beginning to work.
A very positive Simon Bull there from Scarborough Business Ambassadors. Right, we'll wrap things up by hearing from, in a moment, Michelle Donoghue Moncrief, but first Janet Jefferson. They are both North Yorkshire Council councillors in the local area. Expect a bit of news on the West Pier development, especially if you fancy a hoist for the boats to be included. That in a moment. Firstly, though, I was talking to Janet and Michelle about their thoughts on the United Scarborough Residents Action Group meeting and how a couple of topics in particular came up in the Q&A.
Janet, what did you make of tonight's meeting?
I thought it was very interesting, but whenever you have something like toilets and parking on an agenda, they take up the whole meeting. Toilets are important to people, but I was quite surprised as to how many we actually publicly maintained. I think we've got the most probably in Scarborough than anywhere else in the county, and the differential in charges, etc. A toilet is essential to people, and that's why people feel they have to speak about it. But we have to look, we had them in the Brunswick. When the Brunswick's developed, we'll get them back again. We make mistakes with them. I think the biggest mistake we did was with the market. We spent all that money and put toilets on the first floor instead of on the ground floor, which could have had 24/7 accessibility. So yes, toilets is something we have to look at.
Because the United Scarborough group was saying that 75% of their responses were all about toilets, which, you can sort of understand. What got you most sort of energised tonight?
I think what was really good actually to hear directly from the neighbourhood board, because I think the predecessor, the Townsdale board, did a lot of great work and really important work, but it felt very distant from the public. And I think it's really good that actually they're out talking directly with people and they're discussing the projects that they're looking at. And there was challenge there, and there has been questions about whether or not some of these projects should be funded by the neighbourhood board or the council or indeed the mayor. But I think it just at least, I think it gives people confidence that they know what's going on, rather than it's been done to them, but it's actually been done with them and with them having an input.
And there's £20 million, Janet. Where would you love to see that go? Because it's that thing that we're talking about. They don't want the money to go to a project that the council should be funding. Where do you think it'd be best spent?
We've got to put it together all in one. I mean, all those 9 categories, you could virtually couple them into 3 and bring something all together. One lady said, can we have just one big project which would suffice everything, including health, security and everything. And let's see what the public come up with.
What about you? Where would you like to see money spent first?
I think it is finding things that will actually last and they will endure. Sometimes you spend money and it's like for 2 or 3 years and then it's gone and then you're back at the beginning. But I think there was also the very important point made about skills and ensuring that people have training so that they can have a future. And I think it's matching those skills to new industries. I think I made the point in the meeting, yes, tourism is hugely important, but there are so many other industries out there and opportunities out there. And I think sometimes we forget, we keep treating the coast and the sea as though it is a problem. We have a maritime heritage in this country, and we should be embracing the future. There are industries within the maritime thing, not just offshore wind. There will be future industries. Let's get people trained up for those, and let's develop those along this whole east coast, and particularly in Scarborough.
Yeah, because go on, Janet. Yeah.
Right, I was going to say this tonight. Right, I had a meeting with the leader of the council and the chief executive, with Bob Bain Prize, to do with the wind farms, etc., and to do with the plans for the West Pier. We are going to amend the plans of the West Pier so that we accommodate at up 100 or 150 ton boat hoist. We are also not reappraising building number 1. It'll be going for offices, and we are working and trying to achieve the wind farm or being part of it. As my colleague said, this will bring in future employment for our young people. We've also got courses at the University Technical College which have been funded, and this will bring in a different type of skills for our future and our young people in the education.
Because you were saying, weren't you, that tourism can actually have a negative impact on an area because the focus can be on that, and it means all the jobs are seasonal rather than full-time.
Transient population, and it's not good. It's not a settled population. Whereas we must push for this wind farm project. We've got to be a part of it. It is the future, and it will bring a really important for our young people and secure their future.
I mean, when I say about tourism is extremely important, especially if you own a business in tourism and you need that support. It's also a great opportunity, especially for young people during the summer or people from college coming home. So I don't underestimate its importance to the area, and we can't dismiss that. But there's also, I always say to people, the overwhelming majority of people, when you actually go around, do not work in tourism. They work in other jobs, they work in other industries. And I think the point I was trying to make, at one point in the future, we had tourism, but we also brought people like McCain's into the area. We brought Raffle Attack into the area, brought Snyder Electric into the area, and we need to have that same ambition. You can have tourism, but it shouldn't be the only tool in our toolkit. We've got to start asking what other industries can we bring here, especially in the digital age. Not everything has to be physically transported anymore, and so we shouldn't be afraid. I keep getting people when I talk about economic development, it's like, oh, it's the coast, so we'll just do tourism. Well, most of the tourism businesses that I deal with don't need the council to promote the business. But what councils can do is be part of actually providing skills so that private business can get on with the job of investing and creating jobs.
And that was Janet Jefferson and Michelle Donoghue-Moncrief, who are both North Yorkshire Council councillors in the local area. So hopefully that informs you a bit more about the 20 million quid that is going to be spent in Scarborough in the next 10 years, part of the government's Pride in Place scheme. The message from the Scarborough Neighbourhood Board and North Yorkshire Council is we are listening to you, we want your feedback, and you really can shape how this money is going to be spent. It is for you, it is for this community, and it's ultimately to make life better for residents in Scarborough. So we'll post a link in the description box of this podcast episode. If you want to have your say, you can take part in the Pride in Place consultation.
The Yorkshire Coastcast. The people, the places.
Thank you for listening. Thank you to all my guests as well. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. And we'll see you on episode 45. Thanks for listening.
The Yorkshire Coastcast.
Loving